What's going on, guys? Today we've got another comparison for you. We've got the Honor 9A here in my left hand and the realme C11 here on my right hand. Now, we thought this would be a good comparison because although there is a slight difference in price, it's around about £20 difference, we did think that the specs are fairly similar and it is maybe a bit more down to preference. Now, £20 isn't a massive difference when you're thinking about one of the flagship phones. However, when you go lower down into the more budget phones, £20 can really be a big difference. And in this case, you've got the Realme here for $95.99 currently on eFones.com, and the cheapest on a 9A we could find currently was $129.99. So again, you do have that little bit of difference. However, the normal RRP of the C11 when we don't have the deal on is $99.99. So as I said, £20 or £30 difference there. Usually with the current deal on, you are getting a further saving on that. So the slight difference there, but the specs are fairly similar. And as I said, when you go down into sort of the more budget phones, the price differences for £20 or £30, you can get a lot more out of a phone usually in terms of differences, but we'll see in this video. And I do think a lot of this is down to preference and your willingness basically to work with perhaps HMS, as that is one of the key points in this phone. The Honor 9A is a HMS device and it runs solely on Huawei's new Harmony operating system, whereas the C11 does, as it says on the back here, you have access to all the Google apps you use the most here, and it's Android. So you still have that GMS here and still have the support of the Google mobile services here. So that's the first key point there. And then we can move on to the camera. Now, the Honor 9A does take the cake here with the camera, with the rear camera setup being 13.5 and a 2 megapixel setup compared to just a sole 13 megapixel camera on the C11, with the sort of backup camera supporting it as a 2 megapixel camera. So I'll pull this out of the box real quick so we can see what I'm talking about. As I said before in these comparison videos, this isn't a unboxing as we have already unboxed these phones before. This is basically just going over some of the key differences. As you can see here, I've got the Honor 9A in Phantom Blue and the Realme C11 in Mint Green here. And as I said, you've got that dual camera setup on the Realme and the triple camera setup on the Honor 9A there. So the Honor does take the cake there in terms of camera, and you will be shooting better main camera photos than the Realme C11. And that also is the case when it comes to selfies. As you can see on the top of these devices, they both have a very similar design in terms of water drop camera notches there. The Honor obviously does take the win on this one. It has an 8 megapixel selfie camera compared to a 5 megapixel camera on the Realme. So it does take slightly better selfies, and I guess that's what you're getting for that extra £30. You are getting a slightly better camera setup. Moving on to weight-wise, the Honor 9A is significantly lighter in terms of handheld, especially when the batteries are exactly the same size. So you're both looking at a 5,000 mAh battery inside these, but the Honor 9A is a little bit lighter at only 185 grams compared to 196 grams on the Realme C11. So it's not massively different there, but it is a tiny bit lighter. RAM-wise, the C11 is boasting 2 gigs of RAM compared to 3 gigs of RAM in the Honor 9A, and storage is 32 gigs of storage pre-installed on the C11 and 64 on the Honor 9A. However, both of these have expandable storage slots, so you can bring that all the way up if you wanted to, if you decide to get a micro SD card to slip into one of these. Now, the C11 does not come with a fingerprint sensor on the device, whereas the Honor 9A on the back here has that fingerprint sensor there, so you can unlock that with your fingerprint. That being said, the C11 does have slightly faster charging times with that 10-watt charger, and it is a little bit quicker than the Honor 9A in testing and a little bit quicker overall. Obviously, they do have these massive batteries, so it does take a little bit of a while to charge them up, but once you do have them charged, they're going to last you an absolute massive amount of time, especially because these are not very large demanding chipsets on these devices, so they won't be drawing loads of power out constantly, and the battery seems to last a extreme length of time. These both boast MediaTek chipsets, with the C11 having a MediaTek G35 compared to the Honor 9A having a Helio P22 chipset there. So slight difference there in chipsets, but both being those MediaTek ones. That is in general about it. Obviously, the price difference is the main one here, and that GMS HMS thing. If you're willing to get slightly better specs and spend a tiny bit more, but you will be running on HMS, then I would say opt for the Honor 9A. However, if you want to stay within that Google ecosystem, as it is a lot easier in my opinion, HMS can be a bit tricky and doesn't always work in practice in my personal opinion, I would advise you to opt for the realme C11 out of these two. I know the specs are slightly lower, but if you're both looking at a budget phone and you want to save a bit more, you won't be missing out on too many key things, and you will still be able to have all your Google access. So in my opinion, I would opt for the C11. So that is about it, guys, for my opinion and the spec breakdown comparison there. If you want to see the full spec breakdown, make sure you click that link in the description as always. You want to see a complete side-by-side with these in a gaming test, camera, and maybe an Antutu benchmark test comparison, then that is something we can look at doing in the future. Just let us know in the comments, and if that's something that a lot of people want to see, then we'll be sure to do that. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you've got any questions about any of these devices, please let us know in the comments below, and we'll be sure to get back to you. As I said, you can buy the realme C11 currently right now for $95.99 on eFones.com, and that is a limited offer, so make sure if you're looking at one to get it quickly, as we may sell out, or that offer may be over by the time. So thank you guys very much for watching our video, and I hope to see you in the next one.